Welcome back to another episode of Tres Comiceros, the #1 comics review and discussion podcast in the Philippines. I'm checking if I'm recording. I am recording. My name is John. I'll be your host for this evening. With me on the air, live and very prepared, we've got Butch.
I wonder why EJ didn't answer.
I thought you said enough about EJ.
Oh, sorry.
And Alex.
I'm very prepared too.
Yeah? With your panel
Think so.
discussions and such that you forgot about.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, Tres Comiceros can be subscribed to on iTunes, Stitcher, Podcast Republic, the Facebook group, and you can find us on Reddit. And of course, feel free to join us on our Discord server where we talk about comic books and all the other important things in life, relationships, financial management, investment banking, all the good stuff. On our Tres Comiceros server, I'm gonna drop a link later on in the chat. Fomaborn, Nikki G, Drex the Viking, and Thylas, thanks so much for joining us so far. We're gonna jump into some comics here. But first, we've got some news to cover, guys. Some bombs dropped this week. We finally know what Brian Bendis is going to be working on once he dives neck deep into DC Comics. Did you see the thing I linked, Lex?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I'm quite excited that he's doing a a major book
Yeah.
like Superman, and
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty big considering this is what his first time doing a book for DC,
Is
and
it?
they put him.
Because I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Mm.
I like a major book, and
Mm.
it's on their. He puts them on their most popular
I
character,
think so.
and he's gonna
Interesting.
reboot the thing back to #1.
Well,
Technically number
they're
one.
relaunching a new #1 after episode 1000,
Yeah,
but I don't know if it's a reboot. Not
No, no,
not completely a
they,
reboot.
or a relaunch.
they're
Yeah.
relaunching
Yeah.
Superman, and he's gonna continue. The numbering for action is gonna keep going.
Hmm.
I see. But is he writing both or just
I
Superman?
I think so. I think
I
he's
think
writing both.
it's both. And
Wow.
what I like is when it was mentioned that he is gonna work more on setting Metropolis, and I think that's one of Bendis' strong points because he writes very good street level characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just pretty excited how he's gonna tackle building these new stories.
Um, who's he replacing? Is he replacing Tomasi and Gleason? Do you guys know?
Are they doing Superman? I think
You
so.
guys should know.
I'm
You
not
would know.
sure. John would know. He reads Superman.
Yeah. I know that it's Tomasi writing Superman right now with Triple H writing it. Triple H drawing it.
Drawing it.
But I forget who's doing Action Comics. I think Steven Segovia is still on Action Comics. I don't know who's writing for him, but I feel like this is the biggest project.
Jurgens is doing Action Comics.
Ah, Rejurgens. I feel like
Hmm.
this is Bendis' biggest profile project, right? Is that accurate?
After Avengers, yeah.
Yeah, this is his biggest thing, and it's a big deal. So
Hmm.
I'm pretty excited for him. Moving on from the Bendis news, Butch, you posted something about Astro City.
Yeah. Astro City's done.
What?
Astro
Your
City's
favorite
finished.
book?
The only book that I've been paying for the past, paying for monthly for the past, what do you call it, 4 years? Um, the Vertigo
Wow.
run is going to end with issue 52, of course, which is coming out
Mm-hmm.
in like a few months. Um, by far the longest run of Astro City, monthly run of Astro City. And I think they're going to switch to a different publishing model. They're gonna start coming out with original graphic novels for the next moving forward. So I don't know. And when I hear something like that, I feel like it's going to be they're gonna come out with like one or two more graphic novels, and then I don't know. People are gonna get lazy, and the gaps are gonna get larger, longer, and eventually they're just gonna announce it's done. So anyway, that's how I feel. I'm like, oh, it's over. Because
Oh,
Kurt Busiek, the writer, he's got his share of health problems. That's not a big secret.
Oh yeah.
oh really?
Yeah, it's
What's wrong?
oh, I'm actually not sure, but that's the reason why like they canceled Astro City like 15 years ago. So it's been he recovered a little bit, and so the eventually that's why he's able to do this run more or less monthly. But it's
Mm-hmm.
not like as far as I know he's just improved, his conditions improved, but it's still not fully healed. So that's probably part of it. And Brent Anderson, the main artist of the series, he's like I don't know, like 95 years old. So I don't know, maybe he's
What?
starting to slow down too.
I had no idea.
95.
No, I'm exaggerating. He's like I don't know, but he's like
It-
60, legit 65 or something. I don't.
He's up there.
Yeah,
He's up there.
Wow.
he's old.
But how do you feel, man? You sound like you sound less than happy about this.
Yeah, because I'm telling you, I think it's over. They're gonna do one or two more and then call it a series. I think that's what I'm predicting.
Mm-hmm. But
Um,
how long you stuck with the series from the very beginning, right?
no, in and out, in
From
and out. But I caught up with. I think I've got like almost all of the. I'm missing like a few random issues here and there.
mm. But I feel like
So yeah,
this is your thing. This is your
This
longest.
is a Butch book.
This is Butch's indie. This is Butch's indie book that he loves a lot. So I can sort of hear the pain in your voice a little bit. And man,
yeah, it's my refuge from Marvel and DC. From like, because it's like, it's not expensive monthly. It's like one book, and you get all the
hmm
characters. The whole, you don't ever need to do. There's no relaunches, no big events, and it's kind of what I love about comics. And you guys know that I'm really like superheroes is my thing with comic books. So yeah, that's gonna end up soon, and now I have like the budget for one comic. I'm gonna.
hmm
It's probably gonna be Gambit and Rogue, but anyway.
uh,
Oh,
is that gonna be
okay.
a regular, or aren't you gonna jump onto Bendis Superman?
Oh, good lord. Jeez.
Oh, also another bit of Bendis news that I forgot to mention. All his creator-owned stuff that used to be on Marvel Icon will be migrated
It's
over to
moving into
DC.
DC.
Yeah, so
Yep.
Goldfish, what else? Scarlet,
Jinx.
Powers and Jinx. That's gonna be in DC. I don't know if there are gonna be new volumes or they're gonna be reprints via DC. I hope it's new volumes. And from the blurb I read, it said that it's going to be the best or the I wouldn't say the best. I think they said it's gonna be the first creator-owned deal of its kind in a major publisher. So
What
that's
does that
interesting,
mean?
right? It's I don't know. Uh, that could mean several things. If they say this is gonna be the first deal of its kind, that could be good or bad. It could be really great or really terrible. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. And I think Superman #1 comes out in like 3 or 4 months, so we'll need to wait and see. Any other bits of news that I forgot to cover here? Boop, 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 boop. That's my looking for news music. I don't think there's any more. Let's jump into some comics that we read this week with Alex kicking things off. Go ahead, buddy.
Oh, I can't remember if I read anything this week. Hold
No?
on. Ah, no.
No?
Wait.
Didn't you read Venom?
No, I read Venom.
Okay,
He
Lex,
read them.
come on. I know, dig deep. What'd you read this week?
I read something.
All right,
Awesome.
we'll start
Let's
with
skip, skip.
Butch while you're figuring it out, going through your shelf. Butch, what's up?
Okay, so I read the main Spider-Verse book from
Oh shit.
2014. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
like I said last week, I was going through all the stuff that what's his name, Olive is it Oliver
Olivier.
Olivier Coppel did. That's on
Ovillier.
Marvel Unlimited, and of course that Spider Verse showed up. So I'm like, okay, I've always I like Dan Slott, I like Spidey, fair enough. So let's give this 6-issue miniseries, I think, a read.
Yeah?
And are you guys familiar with the basic idea of Spider Verse?
Nope.
Okay,
Not at all.
so so this dealt with the what do you call them, the inheritors, which is like a family of spider totem killers, right?
Oh.
And if you guys know Morlun, he's like the main one. He's the one who's appeared in a few of the JMS story arcs from a few years ago. He's like a member of
Mm-hmm.
the inheritor family. And the concept of the spider totems is I think it was like their attempt at giving Peter Parker, who's like a regular average guy supposedly, um, like giving him a deeper destiny, that kind of thing. When they do that with
Like a
characters,
legacy?
like a deeper meaning, like to make him have like a, I don't know,
More, more important.
more important, yeah.
Oh.
So I don't quite understand the backstory of this thing, because actually that's one of my problems with the series. There's not If you didn't read the previous JMS story arcs, you're kind of gonna get lost as to why the inheritors are trying to kill the spider totems. But basically, spider totems are all the spider characters from the Marvel multiverse, right? Like obviously everybody knows the multiverse. There's a Spider-Man or a Spider-Woman or some kind of spider character in each of the universes. I guess Miles Morales is the most prominent of these characters. Miles Morales being
Mm-hmm.
the Spider-Man of the Ultimate Universe, right?
Ultimate?
Yeah.
Yes.
So these characters, the inheritor family of characters, they're kind of like vampires, I guess, and they feed on. They have like the ability to travel across different universes, and they feed on the spider characters. And I'm not quite sure why, but they've been doing this like this whole time apparently. And for some reason, during the Spider Verse arc, they start going crazy. Like they start maybe they're super hungry or something, but they start killing a lot more of these characters. And so the spider, like a few of the spider totem characters, they start joining forces, I guess. So a few of them can have of course, Peter Parker is kind of a smart guy. A few of
Uh-huh.
them have methods to travel to other multiverses. So they start gathering into groups. And so that's the main point of the series. It's the different spider groups trying to survive against the inheritor family, which is like you have like maybe 3 dozen spider characters versus like six of the inheritors, and all the inheritors are like super powerful. They can handle multiple Spider-Men at the same time. So that's
Hmm.
the story in a nutshell.
Did you enjoy
And
this?
okay, so that's the thing. Uh,
Uh-oh.
like the setup is fun. All right, so it's just
Hold on. Before you go on, what's the creative team?
creative team is Dan Slott writing, and then Olivier Coppel drawing half of the
Okay.
of the 6 issues,
Ooh. Okay.
and Giuseppe Camuncoli doing the second half of the story, which
Mm.
exactly. I don't actually remember at the time if Coppel was solicited to do the whole thing, but
Uh-huh.
it it's Kamakoli is like fine, right? If you've seen his art, he has kind of like
Sure.
what's his name, like a Rafael Albuquerque vibe going on here, and
Yeah, sure.
and that's cool. But you're glad Olivia Capel is arguably one of the top comic artists in right now. So it's a
Mm-hmm.
huge step down, and plus the fact that Coppel starts the story, and all the cool, exciting, actiony bits. Well, no, there's a lot of action, but obviously the conclusion is is in the second half, and it's a step down instead of being. If they
Yeah.
switched it, would have been a step up, I think. Um, so you start off when you start off the story, it sets up really really nicely because Dan Slott, he's regardless of what you think about him, and I know he has a lot of detractors. He's had a long run in Spider-Man. Obviously,
Yeah.
he can write Peter Parker. Like people, uh, they'd have taken him off the book if if he didn't sell or if people generally mostly didn't like his stuff. And it's just really fun at the start because you have Miles Morales and you have Peter Parker and you have multiple Peter Parkers and Spider Gwen. I believe makes her first appearance here, and
Hmm.
Spider Ham. Spider Ham's like the best. Uh, lots of
Is that the
these
pig
characters.
guy?
Yeah, the pig. Um,
Okay. I
so
don't know.
a lot of fun Peter Parkers running around, and then and then you realize Dan Slott doesn't really write big events well. You know,
Oh man.
from and it's all actually no, it's partially it's editorial's fault. Partially, I think it's Dan's writing style. So my biggest problem with the book is when you have an event
Okay.
like this, right? You have like a big event. You have a main storyline, and the way these stories happen, you have tie-ins, right?
Yes.
Um, and I guess the main book, ideally you're gonna splinter off or you're gonna hint at the what the tie-in storylines deal with, right? Like you
Mm-hmm.
show you'll have a little lead in or little note, and you'll have a little blurb like, oh, read blah 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 to follow this thread of the story, right? Um,
Yes.
and if you're a good writer, you can do it organically and naturally, and people will be, oh, okay, so I can read this if I want to see more. But the main story should be enough for this for what I'm buying for, right?
Yes.
Okay, so
But
But
the problem with
but
this storyline is um Dan Slott, he did something weird. Like, okay, so his thing for setting up all the tie-ins is you have all the spider characters grouped together, right? And then they all have missions. And Peter Parker 616 or the main Peter Parker, he's in charge. So he's like, okay, Spider Gwen, Ultimate Spider Man, Spider Ham, you guys go to this universe and do this, blah 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 blah. Um, what's his name? Doctor Octopus Spider-Man, Superior Spider-Man, uh, whoever, Cosmic Spider-Man. You guys do this, right? And then that's fine. Uh, but then, but then an issue
uh-huh.
like they keep coming back. The characters they keep coming back to the main group, and then Peter will give
Why?
like they did their assignment, or he sent like three of them, and then one of them split off and went back. Something like that, right? It's
Okay.
like his way of making it more complicated, I guess. So instead of these three doing their mission in issue 2 and coming back in issue 6,
Mm-hmm.
like one or two might come back in issue 3, right?
Like he's staggering it on purpose.
Yes. Like they'll come back in issue 3, blah blah blah. Let's say I don't know. Let's say Spider Gwen comes back and Ultimate Spider Woman. And then what Peter will do, he'll have another mission for them. Okay, so you guys do this, blah 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 blah, and then they disappear again, and then there's a little blurb again. Okay, follow blah 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 in Ultimate on Spider-Man Spider-Verse team up number 3, something like that.
So
On
it's
the crossover
obviously,
books.
yeah, so it's obviously they're just putting out as many books as they can because they've got all these spider characters, right?
No,
Is that what I'm detecting here?
it's probably like, let's say, four, the normal number of tie-ins, right? Like like four. But the way he structured it, they keep coming back and leaving, or Peter will like call like okay, so there's like this scene in issue 2 or issue 3 where
Hmm.
Peter will contact this group for one page and he'll talk to them for one page and you'll see their update, like there's a little update like what they're doing. And then the next page he'll contact another group, and then the next page he'll contact another group, and it's like such a waste of space if you paid for that comic book.
Oh, dude, yeah.
And then
If
issue,
only they
it,
all shared one Discord server so they could coordinate at the same time, and delegate with no repeats. A
or
spider Discord.
just don't fucking show that part. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
don't remind me that I don't have the main, like I need to read the other books to get your whole story. It would have been better,
That's
and I
weird.
think he had like good intentions. Like he wanted it to be more complicated. Like he wanted the stories weaving in and out and having more events happen.
Yeah.
But as
This
a
sounds like this
yeah
sounds like a nightmare because the last thing I want to see is my superheroes working on their what do you call their logistics.
yes
Their
yes
coordination. I
yes,
don't want to read that.
and you have like 22 pages a month, and you'll devote 3 of those to coordination, to planning.
Meetings.
Yeah. So
That's weird.
that's the main problem. Um,
Mm.
and then just quickly, the secondary problem is, did you guys read Clone Conspiracy?
The first 3 issues.
No.
Right. I think it
Oh, you
was
did?
EJ who read the whole thing. The
I
ending of
mean,
that was
Jiggy, our friend Jiggy told me to read it because there was some big things happening, and he's our buddy, and I wanted to talk to him about it. So I read 3 issues, and I dropped off because I could sense that it was going into a territory of Spider-Man history that I had no interest in.
yeah.
But but yeah, what were you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say that was great. That again, the first half of that was really cool. But the last issue was super messy. Um, I don't know how to describe it. Kind of, it felt like a lot of stuff was too much. Too many things were happening in the last issue, and it got you kind of like a lot of stuff is thrown at you, and it gets really bogged down by that. And the same thing happened here. Uh,
Hmm.
the ending made sense. It just the execution wasn't the best. I think wasn't the clearest bit of storytelling. Like too much happened in the last issue.
You're
So
talking
that
about Clone Conspiracy?
oh no well both I'm saying. So it might be a dance slot thing actually.
Maybe.
Yeah. So
I mean, what other Spider event has he written? Spider Island?
Spider Island.
Spider Island. Yeah.
Did you read that?
I read that. I actually couldn't remember the ending. I should have actually reread it, but yeah, I had to compare it to Clone Conspiracy because that's fresher on my mind.
Sure.
That had a messy ending.
But I'm still gonna read this because even though you guys know Spidey isn't my favorite character, and Dan Slott, you say he's not writing it great. That's even less of a reason to check this out. But it is drawn by Coppel. At least half of it is, and that makes it what, 2 issues, 3 issues by
I think
Coppel?
he did 3. Yeah.
I think yeah, he did.
Yeah, and I'm editing Spider-Verse Coppel image right now for our banner, and just this, it looks like enough of a reason for me to check it out, even though I know it's gonna break my heart like so many things. But what about you, Bush? Do you think you could recommend it?
No. It starts off well. A lot
Oh.
of if you're a big Spider-Man fan, like you'll be like, oh, it's him. Like he draws from so many parts of Spider-Man history. It's
Yeah.
so the start is really nice, but yeah, like I said, the ending is rough. And if you want to
Oh
read that
boy.
slot Spider-Man, just focus on skip the events. I would say just go for the his regular
Mm.
Peter Parker everyday adventures kind of stuff, which is really good. I think I love what
Are
I've
you
read of
reading
that.
the imminent stuff?
No, not the imminent stuff. I read the last one I read, of course, was the Cloak and Dagger stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
go through this stuff again. The latest
Let's
series.
let's read the imminent stuff together. Fresh eyes.
Sure.
Huh?
I mean,
Clear hearts, clear eye. What's
what is
the what is
that?
it?
I
What's
don't
the
know.
Friday Night Lights quote? Clear
Oh
hearts.
yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, that one. Is it full
Yeah,
hearts?
Taylor
Full
Kitsch.
arts, full heart. Yeah,
Yeah, that
that
guy.
one. John
Min
Carter.
Minka
But
Kelly. Mm-hmm.
so that's Spider Verse for you guys. Lex, did you figure out what you read? Thanks, Butch.
Mm-hmm.
I actually I mentioned, I think, have I mentioned Miracle, Mr. Miracle?
Speak up, buddy.
Okay. I think I caught up on Mr. Miracle. I
Oh,
think
okay.
there's six issues of it. It's by Tom King
Hmm.
and
That guy.
um,
Mitch
Mitch
Gerrits.
Jarrett. Okay. When I first read the book, I was approaching it um, as if it was a Batman book. Like
What?
there are actions and escaping and stuff because it's Mr. Miracle, and I haven't
Mm-hmm.
really read any New Gods stuff. Just about Mr. Miracle. I just know he escapes and things.
Yeah.
So the first issue is kind
We
of
we
heavy
reviewed
because you
the first
see,
issue together.
yeah, the first issue was you see him committing suicide, and then the rest of the issues are split between flashbacks, uh, which like happened prior before his suicide, and some stuff that happened after it. Um, it's kind of hard to appreciate the book because I think Tom King is writing it on a different level compared to his other
Hmm.
books.
Explain,
Uh,
please.
it's not straightforward,
Mm-hmm.
and it's hard to get the theme of the book because they are talking about um, death and um, Scott Free being sentenced as a traitor, but it's also difficult if you don't know his background
Mm.
with what happened with Darkseid, with
Do you know his background?
what's no man. That's my mistake.
Ah.
Oh no.
Yeah. So
Uh-oh.
I just read through it. I'm
Mm.
just trying to figure things out as I read through the book. At the end of the sixth issue, I have like 70-80% idea what he is trying to say,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
but I think it would, if it would, you would enjoy it more if you have more than basic understanding of the main character, Big Barda, and their relationship
Mm-hmm.
with the whole New Gods thing, Orion, you know,
Yeah.
the politics of them being gods and what they're fighting for in Darkseid's planet and things like that. And why is Godfrey in Earth? Why is he a celebrity? So I came into the book blind, expecting like I was gonna be um, introduced to the character, like it was relaunched for a
Yeah.
new audience. But yeah, I think it's suited for older fans of the book, like
Like
you,
me.
because yeah. So that was my mistake. So hopefully I'll try to read more older DC stuff, but
Or you can
old
ask
DC
me.
is like uh,
Because What do you know about the origin of Mr. Miracle? What about his deal?
No, man, none.
Nothing?
Oh.
All right.
I know they were like gods and stuff, but
That's
like no.
yes.
You shouldn't be proud of that,
All right.
Alex.
So, Mr. Miracle is one of my favorite Jack Kirby creations. Just to set up the character of it, because he's one of those characters I like because he is very very defined by his origin. Uh, he's not he's not really somebody who changes a lot depending on his adventures. Not like Batman. I guess Batman is also very defined by his origins, but the
Yeah.
personality of Batman changes with his villains and with the times. But Mr.
Mm-hmm.
Miracle, uh, long ago, let's say millions of years ago, or maybe thousands of years ago, there was a war between New Earth and Apocalypse. New Earth being the realm of the new gods. Is it called New Earth?
Isn't it called Jesus?
The fourth world. New Genesis, sorry,
Yeah,
not New
yeah.
Earth.
There you go.
New Genesis and Apocalypse. These two realms were fighting. So, New Genesis was the realm of High Father and the new gods, and Apocalypse was the realm of Darkseid and the evil gods. And they were on the verge of destroying each other. So, High Father and Apocalypse uh, worked out a truce, and they came up with the idea that because they each have one son, they would exchange sons so that they would each have a reason not to attack each other.
Uh-huh.
So effectively, Darkseid took his son Orion and gave Orion to Highfather, and then Highfather took his son Scott and gave him to Darkseid. So it's like
Oh.
what's the word? Insurance. Uh, you don't wanna attack me because I have your offspring in my territory. Basically, that was the whole premise of the truce. And
Westeros
in
style.
effect, yeah, exactly. Well, who is it? What's his name? Theon,
Yeah, Theon.
Greyjoy style.
Hmm.
So effectively, uh, what's his name? Scott Free or Mr. Miracle grew up on Apocalypse, like knowing that he was this good guy, but because he was living in such a harsh environment, he developed escape skills. He became the greatest escape artist in the galaxy because he kept running away from Granny Goodness's prison camps and whatever. And then, meanwhile, on New Genesis, Orion became this conflicted evil guy who somehow has a heart of gold because he was raised by good people his whole life. But yeah, that's the whole premise of Mr. Miracle. He doesn't really have anything specific that he fights for, Lex. He just fights for survival, pretty much, and he relies on his skills. He's basically like Super MacGyver, superhero MacGyver.
Oh.
And
Does Darkseid love him or something?
I mean, Darkseid loves him as much as Darkseid can love anything. You know, he only loves something if he can use it, if that makes sense.
Oh, okay.
Because Scott was raised alongside Calibac, and Calibac is Darkseid's other son, who he made his general. But as far as I know, I don't think Darkseid has ever used Mr. Miracle for any evil plots. Um, but from what you can glean of the story of Mr. Miracle, Tom King's Mr. Miracle, Lex, what's he escaping from? From what you can tell, do they talk about that at all?
No, it's more of escape. It, he's escaping from who he is, something
Whoa.
like that. Like
Whoa,
existentialism
it's
thing.
so deep.
Things that things that you'd like,
Mm.
like Evangelion.
Uh-huh.
But he likes
Catcher in the
escaping.
Rye.
So
Yeah.
he's escaping from
So
his
wait.
escaping.
Escaping from
I
escape.
So
broke
wait, so
myself.
was that the whole deal? Is that why he tried to kill himself? Because he wanted to
He,
escape?
he tried to kill himself because he was sentenced to death, and then I think his PR manager thing suggested like
Well,
instead of being sentenced,
uh,
you kill yourself at the same time. You know,
Oh,
you die and then you escape from
kinda.
the sentence that is being
Hmm.
judged. You know, I don't know. I, I might just read it again to
uh-huh.
fully understand it.
Now this is I have a weird question for you because I know it's not over. I know the series isn't done yet, and you
Hmm.
said you don't quite understand what's going on. Are you enjoying it?
I like the art.
Hmm.
Uh-huh. You do like Mitch Gerrard's and
I do.
the stuff he did on is it Sheriff of Babylon?
Sheriff of Babylon, the activity, and the activity.
Yeah, yeah. So you're gonna continue this even though you don't
I
quite grab it. It doesn't quite grab you.
absolutely.
Nice. Whoa. I like the conviction there. Butch, any interest in Mr. Miracle?
I like Kirby. I like the New Gods.
Hmm.
Um, but that's the kind of New Gods I want. Not that Kirby, like big and melodramatic and large. And
Hmm.
this one's maybe sounds like it has a more modern approach to the New Gods, which is fine. But I still haven't even read all of the Fourth World, so I'll probably go through that before I try reading anything like this.
Interesting. But so you haven't touched any fourth world stuff at all, not even so zero. What about Commandy, which isn't fourth world, but it's still Kirby DC.
Again, before that, I want to do the Fourth World. I've read some of Kirby's Fourth World stuff.
Yeah,
It's not, I don't know. I read some of Eternals and I read some of Fourth World, and for me, Eternals is a little bit more engaging. I wouldn't, I don't know
gotcha.
how I can say that, like a specific reason, but maybe because it's only one title, so you're just following one plot thread.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Lex, do you have anything else to say about Mr. Miracles?
Um, I'll try to appreciate it more now that I know the background.
Uh, okay.
But
Maybe you
I'm not saying it's a
can.
bad book. Maybe it's just how I'm having a hard time figuring things out.
Yeah, that's the thing, because Tom King isn't the most straightforward writer. Even Vision, which was simpler than this, was pretty complicated. But in the end, Tom King wraps up a lot of the threads. So maybe he'll do that this time.
Yeah.
Moving on to what I read this week. I read Doomsday Clock number 3. Lex, are you caught up on this?
No, no, no. I've
Oh
just read
no.
second issue, but yeah, sure, go ahead.
Okay. Uh, I will spoil though. I'll spoil a little bit.
Hmm.
You don't mind?
I don't mind. Yeah.
Just to set things up, do you remember how issue 2 ended? Because you said you really liked it.
Yes.
You
Hmm.
mind recapping us? Because you said you really liked the last page.
On the last, can we spoil it?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. On the last page, comedian shows up. The
Yeah?
comedian who apparently died on the first issue of Watchmen.
He did. Not apparently.
Yes. Yeah. Well, but he shows up.
Well,
He's alive,
Yeah.
so apparently he died.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sure, he died.
So,
But now he's alive.
so we see him in the last page of issue 2, but in issue 3, it starts with a panel by panel recreation of Watchmen number 1. Like Gary Frank redrew that fight scene between Ozymandias and Comedian, and when Ozymandias throws Comedian out the window, there's this weird panel effect thing that Gary Frank does, basically telling us that Comedian is transferred to another place, and instead of landing on the pavement, he lands in the ocean.
hmm.
And it looks like in that sequence, it looks like Doc Manhattan transported him into the DC universe.
Hmm.
So that's not really explained with any real detail, and we don't know how long he's been in the DC universe. Um, but when Ozymandias looks for one of the smartest men in the one of the smartest people in the DC universe, he goes to Lex Luthor, and in his when Ozymandias is attempting to conscript Lex Luthor's help in finding Doc Manhattan, Comedian attacks him, shoots Lex Luthor in the chest. We don't know if Lex is dead or whatever, or if he's in the clutches of Comedian, but Ozymandias barely escapes with his little baby Bubastis with him. So he issue 3, Ozymandias ends up unconscious. Meanwhile, in a more interesting part of town, a new Rorschach is visiting a very familiar Batman. Um, but the interesting thing is, we all know that Batman's current logo is this black bat insignia, right? With the white with the gold trim around it.
Hmm.
In
Oh
the
yeah, yeah.
comic, though, he in the comic his logo is the '90s one, the yellow circle with the black bat inside it. So I don't know if that was a mistake or if it was a hint for the timeline that this story is happening in. So we'll find out, I guess. In any case, this new Rorschach gives Batman a journal, which he confesses is the journal of Kovacs, the original Rorschach. So essentially, Batman reads Watchmen in this issue. He reads the original Watchmen story. It takes him.
Does he skip the pirate parts?
That's what I want to know too. I'm showing on
Those are the
screen.
best parts.
Oh God.
I found a screen grab. Somebody scanned it and put it online somewhere. But there's a. It looks like a 9 panel sequence of Batman just reading a journal, and Rorschach is bored behind him, like checking his watch, stretching, yawning, checking his watch again, and then one of the last panels, he's like, "What page are you on?" And then Batman's like page 4. So it's gonna be a while. But in any case, Batman ends up learning the story of Watchmen in this issue, which I think is pretty darn interesting. And because he knows that Rorschach is searching for Doc Manhattan, Batman tells him that Manhattan was last traced, or his energy signature was last detected in Arkham Asylum. So he and Rorschach, both with grappling guns. So that was a nice
Aw.
Easter egg. He and Rorschach break into Arkham Asylum in search of Doc Manhattan, and something happens that I will not reveal because Alex has not read it yet. But it's a little bit of a slower issue compared to issues 1 and 2, but I can really get a sense of the there's a big story that Jeff Johns is working towards here, and I can't wait for it to resolve in 9 months. It's gonna be a while, guys. But if there's anybody who can strap in and just finish a 12 issue maxi series and make it look great from 1 to 12, it's Gary Frank. And I have every bit of confidence in his skill. What's the last long form thing that he worked on? Was that Batman Earth 1, right? That like
Was it our? I think so. Our Secret Origins.
no, the Batman Earth 1 was after that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that was the last thing he did before this, and that looked great. If you guys didn't read that, just track that down. But yeah, that was Doomsday Clock number 3. Oh, also, in between the Rorschach stuff and the Ozymandias stuff, we get more of Mime and Marionette, the two clownish characters, and they visit a bar in a seedy part of Gotham City, and all the patrons of the bar attack them because apparently it's against the rules to dress up like a clown in Joker territory. So chaos ensues, lots of bodies hit the flow, and their story sequence ends with Mime and Marionette looking for the Joker, and I cannot wait for that interaction because man, these two characters in 3 issues they have become a couple of the most interesting new characters in the DC universe that I've ever seen. Like I know EJ loves the fact that Mime is this weird silent movie guy who's just like pointing finger guns at people. He's got no weapons whatsoever, and he's completely quiet all the time. He's an amazing acrobat, apparently, but it seems like he doesn't have guns. But when he pulls the trigger, there's an effect. Things happen to the people he quote unquote shoots, so it's pretty awesome. And also, it's this issue is very violent. I like that Doomsday Clock is not shying away from the violence that Watchmen had. So that's a cool thing about this. It's definitely not a kid's book, despite the fact that it's got superheroes in it. But yeah, Lex, I implore you to catch up on Doomsday Clock because I think you'll really like issue 3 in particular if you dug the ending of issue 2. All right?
Yep, I will.
Yeah. And also, uh, for those of you guys interested in Doomsday Clock and more theories about it, check out Tres Comicaros episode 62, where we talked about our theories for where Doc Manhattan is hiding and who he might be. I emphasize might. Who he might be masquerading as in the DC universe. Something worth looking into if you're interested at all in Doomsday Clock. All right, so that'll be it for Comic Stock. Butch, do you have anything else that you read this week that you want to talk about?
Yeah. What's this? I was just going through the first. I went through the first 4 comic book appearances of, or first 4 storylines of Venom in the
Mm.
Amazing Spider-Man, and actually, there's not much to say other than, I mean, in terms of the writing, it's more about the artwork actually that got me interested because the just reading through the comics, there's really nothing. I was hoping to find like something interesting about Venom, like that most people maybe didn't know, like something quirky about his early appearances. And
Mm-hmm.
the only the
Is
only
there?
bit that the only bit that I could find is that out of the first 4 Venom stories, Venom and Spider-Man have 2 showdowns on a beach, which is kind of weird.
Why do you think that is?
David Michelini, the writer, he, he's not very creative. I don't know.
Or
Like,
could it be that McFarlane and Larson just didn't want to draw buildings and they just wanted to draw muddy backgrounds? Or is it still detailed?
actually, that's true. That might be true because since artists had more input with the plots back then. Uh,
Yeah.
well, the first one is like they had to have a showdown, and for some reason, Venom chose a beach, which is near, still in New York, in the New York area, and then
Yeah.
the second one with Larson was kind of weird. They had like a, a, a an extended showdown on a deserted island somewhere, which is really weird. Like
Why is it That's
why?
so weird. What if you got these two super athletic spider characters?
I
I feel
know.
like having them fight on a beach is like not is as Eric Kennedy would say, is suboptimal to the
True.
visual options that you have
Yeah.
available to you. I mean, we're all artists here, Lex, Butch.
Yeah.
Where like aside from skyscrapers and stuff, where would be a cool place for Venom and Spider-Man to fight? All athletic and shit.
Ooh, that's a good
Gym?
question. Where?
A gym.
In the gym. EJ's gym.
Just jumping around the equipment, possibly. Uh,
I can
wind,
do 30 reps. I
uh,
can do 35.
windmill factory. Anyone? They have factories for windmills, right? That's how it works.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
uh, on a large stick held by a Filipino man, huh?
A giant Filipino man.
A giant a Filipino Galactus
That's
holding a
Butch.
stick.
Yeah.
Giant Filipino man. That's Butch.
Where else, Butch? Where
How
else would
about
we like to see?
like a beach?
In Luneta.
Oh, shut up. uh, what about like a glass castle? A glassel, right?
Why does it have to be
They,
Like in
glass?
Frozen.
because it's all sharp and stuff, and then they can climb the walls and shit, but when they punch and break stuff, they hurt each other, and it's dangerous. No?
Yeah. That would be kind of cool because I know you're joking, but Peter Parker can't sense Venom, right? His spider
Yeah,
sense
that's
doesn't
true.
work for Venom, and Venom. I found out Venom, at least in these issues, he doesn't actually have a spider sense. So they bump into mirrors a lot, I guess.
Oh, dude, if they have, wait, can Venom, does Venom have spider sense?
No, no, he doesn't.
He doesn't. Oh,
Yes.
so if you put them in a glass castle, you have like this Enter the Dragon situation with like they
Uh,
just get tricked by each other's reflections and I don't know. It'd just be a cool visual. The artist would die, but it would
yeah,
look great
yes.
at least.
So I just it would be
Mark
all Venom reflections.
uh, Marky Mayhem says a kid's playground on the monkey bars. Foma Born the gym. The gym, how about in the atrium of a skyscraper that has lots of glass and goes up dozens of stories? Eh? I like that. I like that too. Where else? Oh, they could fight in the World Tree. Yggdrasil, I guess. They're two spiders.
Ooh,
That works.
that's that work. Yeah, I like that.
Except I don't know if the World Tree is a physical thing or a metaphysical concept in Norse mythology, in Marvel Norse mythology anyway. I don't know. I still like my giant stick idea.
They can fight like on Giant Man.
Oh, shit, Giant Man would be so fucking pissed. He'd squish both of them.
He might like it. I don't
Um,
know.
that's true. Hold on. I need to find a cover image for what you read. There's a lot of Spider-Man this week. Uh,
True.
what is that you read specifically just now?
You can do what are the numbers? 300. Amazing Spider-Man 300, 315, 316, 347, 332.
Man, Jiggy will be so happy to see that we covered a lot of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Is Spider-Man 300 the one with the black costume cover?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know, guys. Give me a break.
That's fine.
Okay.
Anyway,
As
the yeah.
yeah. Go on, go on.
The like I said, the more interesting thing about going through these comics again is the looking at the art. Um, so I started with the Todd McFarlane stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
holy shit, some of his art was just bad.
Oh man.
Like terrible art. Like
By today's
Hey.
hey,
standards or
Hey.
huh?
Hey.
oh.
Hey, Alex, I love Spawn, man. I'm on your side. But during this period of this is like maybe a good 3 or 4 years before Spawn #1. It's terrible. I'm thinking
No.
he was still developing here, and like he had deadlines. That's always
Mhm.
a major thing because I think he did a lot of issues like what do you call it like what do you call it one after the other
Consecutively.
consecutively. He had decent runs, I think, back in the day. Uh,
Uh-huh.
but his especially the way he draws hands. I need to show you guys some
Why? What's wrong
images.
with the way he draws it? Does it look like a jelly sandwich
I was about to say rubbery, so yeah,
with a
kind of like a jelly
yeah,
sandwich.
yeah, yeah.
And
Oh man,
over like
Remember, this was the 90s.
he it
it's
it
true.
if he didn't render the way he rendered, like you just saw the anatomy of what he was drawing, you would think, that's a great like name, like not even like name the indiest indie book. Like the crappiest,
Mm-hmm.
like think of like I don't know, not even like Malibu. What's like some really shitty small, like some random Fantagraphics. No, that's probably good stuff. Whatever, like
Yeah, I
amateur
know what you're trying
hour.
to say.
But he's drawing
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
freaking Spider-Man, and at this time he was already, I don't know, number one or number two in the industry, and and it's just bad. Like the way he draws people. Like his Venom is fine, even from the get go. His version of Venom
Mm-hmm.
is pretty good, but his version of even Mary Jane, like everybody remembers. Ooh, like Todd McFarlane Mary Jane.
Ooh.
Yeah, like for some reason she's always wearing like a nightgown or something.
She's
Uh,
always half naked, yeah.
her like her eyes are too big. Like it's kind of cartoony. Her lips are
Uh-huh.
huge, and you see his version of Eddie Brock. Um, it's
Yes.
something. Anyway, uh, but that's the thing. That's the thing. So I read that, and I was kind of like, I don't know, making fun of it while going through it. Um, but
And then,
then right after that, I read Larson stuff, and I love Larson. Like, he's probably my favorite Spider-Man artist of them all.
Yes.
Uh, but the thing you'll notice right away is suddenly I realized, okay, so I get it. I get why Todd McFarlane stood out. And in addition to all the crazy rendering, there it's the paneling, like
Mm-hmm.
the way he would arrange panels, the little tricks that he would do uh, with panels. He was very experimental, I guess, and
Okay.
there was so much energy in his panel layouts, and you could see that right away when I was going through Larson because Eric Larson, in terms of his illustration style, it it's closer to Todd's style than it would have been to like the 80s Marvel style, right? For the time, it was timely for the 90s. Like, but the biggest difference was his panel layouts were still very much in that kind of uh, conservative grid style. So,
Hmm.
and that's so noticeable. I'm like, okay, so like, and people obviously have different tastes. Like some people prefer that, like that classic kind of more conservative uh, storytelling style. But regardless of how you feel about it, you will notice that the energy level just went down by like I don't know 50%
With
because
Larson?
yeah. And remember, the actual drawing is fine. Might be better even than what Todd was doing. But yeah,
Hmm.
the every like a lot of the panels are gimmicky. You almost want to use the word gimmicky. Like he'd have um, panel borders. He'd play a lot with the panel borders. Like they'd be made out of webs, or he'd use like a rugged line. Uh, and that's at his most experimental. But even the quiet scenes, I guess. He'd play around with sizes like of panels overlapping. Like every page almost had that, and
Hmm.
that's noticeable right away. I'm like, okay, so I get it. I think I get it. Like that. This is why Todd set himself apart from like why Todd is one of the most fondly remembered Spider-Man artists, while Eric Larson is not Todd McFarlane, right?
So you're saying basically what I'm gleaning here is that McFarlane was more about the flash and Larson just wanted to tell the story. Is that fair to say?
That might be fair. I'd rather say the energy. But either way, that's what made him different from everyone else. I don't think anyone else has, like, obviously there are a lot of people who copied Todd McFarlane's style, but uh,
Yeah,
that's definitely what set him apart.
sure. Okay. Before we continue, Fomaborn says, putting it in context, the stuff that McFarlane did was so very different than anyone else had done at the time.
Yeah,
Pretty much agreeing with you, Butch. And he's saying that I was in high school when it was new, and it was super exciting at the time because it was so different. Like I wouldn't know because I wasn't really reading comics around this time, but yeah, looking back, nobody before McFarlane really drew Spidey this way. So
for
I
sure.
can see what you guys are talking
Or
about.
since,
All
really.
right, you think so?
Yeah, because with the backlash, there's a lot of backlash about that kind of art. So since then, I
Yeah,
think we've gone more conservative with the panelings and more modern with the illustration, right?
that makes sense. All right, I think that's it for comic stock. Unless either of you guys have other stuff to bring up. Lex, did we cover all the stuff you read?
Yep, I'm good.
Lex, are you here?
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah,
Okay, you're here.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
We're gonna move on to our panel discussion. Hold on, just making sure the music isn't too loud. All right, so last week via chat, we were having a bit of a morbid discussion. I'm not sure who we were talking about. If it was what's the name of that X-Men artist who was found? You know, I think he was drawing when he died. Who was that? Butch?
Who?
Who are we talking about? Um, fuck.
X-Men artist?
Yeah. Mm-mm. I'm not sure about the name, and I know that Mike
Oh,
Wieringo.
wasn't it? We were talking
Yeah.
about oh God, what's his name? No, go ahead. I can't remember.
We were talking about somebody. We were talking about an older comics professional gentleman who was still working when he passed away. He's still working in
Frazetta? Was
comics
it
when he passed
Frazetta?
away.
No.
No, it was not Frazetta. I don't know. But it was somebody. It was a big deal guy. So we're not gonna mar his memory by telling a false story. But basically, the premise that we were coming up with was: what if you, Butch, me, and Alex, we grow old working as comics professionals, and for some reason we die, and we are alone in our household when we die, and then people or cops or our loved ones find us in our house dead. Like I said, it's a morbid discussion, but we are found deceased in our homes, and uh, our bodies are found lying on a bed with a trade paperback or hardcover on our chest, meaning that was the last thing we were reading when we died. All right. So the question is, what would you like that book to be, lying on your chest as you your last moments of life pass, and then, and then people will see this on you, and it is forever what they will remember you by, possibly. And we call this a warrior's death. So the question is, what is the book on your chest when you are found after your warrior's death? Lex, you're not allowed to answer any with any Hellboy questions.
Oh no.
Hellboy answers are barred from this
Ah,
discussion.
Why?
you have to think now.
Why you make it hard for me?
Because you always have the same answer. But you can answer last. I'll go first, Butch. If that's okay with you?
Mine's Cloak and Dagger.
Or oh no, I should have known. Okay,
Just kidding. Go ahead.
so
Go
okay,
ahead.
guys, If it's not Cloak and Dagger, and if it's not Hellboy, what would people
Ah,
find
fuck.
on your chest as you die? I
Jad
think
Amor's Fictionaut.
my art book, my digital art
Wow.
book will be
Suck up.
a tablet. There's a tablet resting on your chest. Um, uh, I think I would have any of the. Oh man. See, this is the thing
Mhm.
because I have a serious answer and a stupid answer. Like, if I want people to remember me in a cool way, I want them to find me as actually buried in comics, in buried in Alan Moore's Watchmen. You know, because those hardcover, those no, not Watchmen, Alan Moore's Swamp Thing, because those hardcovers are pretty heavy, pretty hefty too. So I want all 5 volumes to be like resting on my neck, almost suffocating me, and that's how they found me. But part of me also wants to say that they'll find me buried in Tarot, Witch of the Black Rose, and it's not even trades. It's just single issues. I'm not sure if that's ever
Wow.
collected in trades. Either that or any of the Xenoscope books. Just they're not
Ooh.
even on my chest. They're covering my face.
Covering your private parts.
Yeah, covering everything but my private parts.
Wow.
I don't know. What about you, Butch?
Huh. You know what'd be cool? You know what'd be cool? A stupid answer also. I
Yeah,
just thought of this. Oh god, there was like this comic book from the 90s. Um,
yeah.
shit. Trying to remember. It might have been. Oh Jesus. It was a Malibu comic. It might have been Protectors. Like number whatever, 5 or 6, and it had like a. You remember when they had gimmicks back then? So this the gimmick of this comic was like there was like a bullet hole through the whole comic
Oh shit.
because apparently like one
Okay.
of the characters got shot or something. So it kind of spoiled the whole comic if you saw the cover. Or maybe like it was like a 3D thing and the I can't remember the actual cover. But that would be cool, right? Like you have like that bullet hole uh cover over your chest. That bullet hole
Yes.
comic, sorry, over your chest, and they're like, "Oh my God,
Stupid.
somebody shot him!"
Did you say stupid? Wow.
Pretty much. And
Lex, this is Butch's
sorry,
death we're talking about. Come on, have some respect, dude.
yeah, and then
Stupid.
but actually I died of some dumb thing like I don't know, like I choked, like I
Hellboy.
choked on on like a piece of fruit. It's like, wow, you got shot.
What was the title?
Jeez, it might have
Don't
been
remember.
Protectors, something like that. Protectors number
Thirst.
5, but the just a
I
stupid.
have never heard of this fucking book.
Oh my God, this is like Albert Orr would know
Typical
this.
Butch.
Oh, okay.
Albert
Of
Orr might
course you would.
remember this. And the
Uh,
quick stupid trivia. So they did this comic
oh
by
no.
the whole the actual whole was done in printing, right? They printed
Yeah.
they did a special printing treatment, and then this stupid other comic publisher, much smaller than Malibu at the time, they're like, oh shit, we can do that. But they actually got their comics. They made, I don't know, at the time maybe they printed like 1,000 comics, and then they actually they took a gun and they shot through they shot through all of their issues. But
What?
yeah, so that was not safe.
Wait a minute. Can a single gun fire a bullet through a? How many comics can a single gunshot go through?
Oh no no, I would think they would like shoot through 3 or 4 maybe at a time. But that or I don't know, not even maybe two or three.
They just line it up and then they use like a 50 caliber bullet and just snipe through that thing.
They used a
Mark.
shotgun, they just ruined the whole story. They're like, oh shit.
uh, before Alex answers, Marky Mayhem says Batman: The Killing Joke, uh,
Wow.
and either Saga or Old Man Logan. Very modern
Mm.
picks. I respect that. That's Toxicity's answer. Lex, what
Saga.
about you?
Hellboy?
Nope. No Hellboy.
Ah, oh man,
Stop it.
I don't know. Serious answer. If it's not Hellboy, it's probably the BPRD books.
Oh
Oh
The
God,
ones
God.
with the Guy
dude.
Davis.
Fucking hate
The one with
him.
the Guy Davis books.
God
The
Come
damn
ones
it.
that
on.
Guy Davis
Stop.
drew.
Stop.
They're really nice. Um,
God.
Another answer could be it's probably some badly drawn comic, and I was kind of laughing at it, and then I choked on something while I was eating.
What do you think it would have been?
Uh,
Name an artist.
uh,
Oh,
no.
dude.
In private,
John Moore's fiction not.
it's probably Urban Animal.
Oh,
Ooh.
thanks.
No,
Thanks, man.
no, just kidding. I'll tell you later
I'll tell you in secret. Uh, we
when we get
have.
to our room, John.
It's Butch's room we're sleeping in tonight. Um, we have one more panel discussion to wrap up the show, if that's okay with you guys. I think this was Butch's
Yeah,
idea. Butch, you want to take it away? You said it was Image 26th anniversary or something?
Yeah. What's this? It was Protectors number 5, by the way.
All right, thanks.
um. Oh yeah. So I think this month is the 26th anniversary of Image comic books, and I was just going through Twitter, and then the official
Twitter.
Image Comics Twitter account was like asking people, "What's your favorite Image comic book of all time?" And I
Mm.
thought about you guys because you guys read a lot of indie stuff. So, and of course the listeners can chime in. What is your favorite Image comic of all time?
Spawn number one.
Series.
And
Is
Oh,
it really
Image
Spawn?
book?
serious.
Like, oh, not like a favorite because it's like my. It has a personal
Wow, did not
importance
expect
to
that
me.
answer.
Oh,
Tell
Yeah,
it.
you
Spawn.
used to be a demon,
And
and
then I discovered I was a black guy.
I know.
yeah,
No, the other way.
and
Discovered you were a
your
white guy.
clock ran out. Wait, was Spawn white? He was black,
No,
right?
no, he discovered
No,
he
he's
was
black.
white.
Yeah,
Oh, I have
yeah, it
no
was. He was
idea.
white when he turned human.
He's like the
Oh
only
shit,
white,
I had no
the only
idea.
character ever to be like depressed that he's white. Like,
While we're
no.
answering this, while we're answering this question, friends
Wait a
on chat,
minute.
feel free to tell us what's your favorite image book of all time. No, I'm white. I'm so
Scalped.
privileged. No. What about you, Butch? What's your favorite image book of all time?
Oh, I was hoping you guys would have like better answers because that's the thing. That's why I thought about you guys because then I'm like, what is my favorite Image comic of all time? It's
is,
probably
is
like
is scalped under image? I think.
Nope,
Vertigo.
that's
Yeah.
Vertigo.
Nah, Vertigo. Yeah.
Um, Other than Astro City, I mean, obviously it would have to be Astro City because Astro City was under
Hmm.
Image for a while. Uh, Good lord. Might be was Global Frequency under Image?
Yes,
Yes.
Wildstorm.
Wildstorm. All right,
It's
yeah.
s- s-
Oh shit! Hold
wow.
on.
So it's
Planetary. That's my answer.
yeah, that's what I was about to say. Is it global frequency over planetary or planetary?
Planetary. Yeah, for sure.
Planetary.
Love that
Nice.
book.
Um, if we're talking image founders, it's Savage Dragon for me, but you already know that.
Mm-hmm.
But I
Hmm.
think even even in spite of Battle Chasers and Danger Girl being what they are, I think my favorite image book that I like. This was high school, and I would save up. I would like Magic the Gathering. No Weatherlight expansions this week because I was saving up for some Gen 13, and that's my favorite
Oh
image book
yeah.
That's a good one.
because yeah, they're strong, empowered women. Never mind that they were very attractive. But yeah, I really love that book. Um,
Mm-hmm.
what about you, Lex? You said Spawn, but what about among like Non-image founder image books. Do you have a favorite?
Um, man,
Yeah.
it's
While
hard.
you're
Yeah.
while you're figuring that out,
Um,
Cosmic Zord, hey buddy. He says Skull Kickers, probably. You know what? I've never read Skull Kickers.
Jim Zub,
It
right?
looked great though. I don't remember. I think so.
Might have been. Who drew that?
But
Image?
Man, who drew that?
No.
Anyway.
I think I know who drew it. He does some great Copic commissions now, but I forgot his name. So, Toxicity says maybe I Hate Fairyland. Interesting choice. Of all time, huh? That's big praise for Scotty Young. Uh,
Is that
if
gonna
it
be like a
wasn't
movie?
Fairyland,
Oh wait, no, I'm thinking of
Nobody mentioned Walking
I
Dead.
Kill Giants.
I Kill Giants is a different thing from I Hate Fairyland.
Okay.
Cosmic thinks I would really love Skull Kicker, so let me look up who worked on it, buddy. It's Chris Stevens
Hmm.
and Jim Zub. Yeah, Chris
Wow.
Stevens, he's really good with Copics and stuff.
I did
Edwin
not
Huang as
expect that.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will look it up. Saga. Uh, it is not written by Jeff Lemire Cosmic. It says it's written by Jim Zubkavich.
Oh, he shortened his
So,
name.
yeah,
Bill Sink.
I don't know. But yeah, I think that'll be it for our comic stock this week, guys. Butch and Alex, thank you so much for joining me. Friends on chat, Cosmic Zord, Marky Mayhem, Toxicity, Fomaborn, Raff. Who else was here earlier? Thylus was here, Nikki G. Lots of friends showed up. Thank you so much for hanging out.
Thank you.
Butch, where can people find us?
You can find us on Just Comic Heroes on Twitter. That's probably the main place where you start. And from there, the first pinned tweet is you'll find links to our Facebook,
Uh-huh.
our YouTube channel, and our Discord community. Please sign up. Please sign up for our Discord community. We are on there almost probably 24/7. Feel free to just start your own discussions, and you'll get a reaction out of us one way or another. If you want people to engage you with whatever pop culture thing that you want to talk about, that's where you
Yeah.
should go. So if you feel ignored, join our Discord community.
Hey, it rhymes. If you feel ignored, join Discord.
Join our.
Yeah, there you go. Discord for the ignored.
Yeah. Thank you so much. We will catch you next Friday, guys, and we're gonna talk about more comic stock. I believe, Butch and Alex, correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's book club next week, and we are talking about Paul Jenkins, and Jolly's Inhumans next week, you guys. Jenkins!